In this video, we will discuss adding survey data to a surface. If you would like to follow along with this video, please open the file 0503 Adding Survey Data to a Surface located in the training folder as discussed in the Working with this Dataset video. Adding survey data to your surface is simply a matter of adding the break lines and points that were generated by the survey database and pointing to them by the surface. First, let's go ahead and create a surface. In the Prospector tab, in the Surfaces category, I'll right-click and select Create Surface. We'll call this surface EG. You can give it a description if you desire. And as with everything in Civil3d, you must define a style for this Civil3d object. So if I click this Browse button, you'll notice that these are the styles available in this drawing. We'll keep the contours, 1 foot and 5 foot background as our style. Select OK, and we now have a surface in our Prospector tab that is empty. We now need to fill it with the surface definitions of the break lines from the survey data, as well as the points from the survey data. So let's access our survey database by selecting the Survey tab, right-click on our Proj 1 that was created in the Import Events video, and select Open for Edit. Now I'm in a totally blank file, and I will simply right-click on Import Events and Insert into Drawing. This will insert all my break lines and all my points based on the import events that were defined here. Now I need to add the break lines in the survey database to my surface. And here's where the automation comes in. If you remember, in the Survey Figures video, we discussed how to automate break lines for surface creation. If I right-click on the Figures collection and choose Create Break Lines, you'll notice that a Yes is toggled on next to the break lines based on their figure prefix in the figure prefix database. You still should scroll through your different break lines to actually see if all the break lines you want to be placed in the surface are correctly toggled on, or you need to toggle off some. Let's say I do not want the stone wall to be imported into the surface. So I'm going to toggle these off. And just like that, they will not be incorporated into the surface. Note that you can select the surface from here, as well as create a new surface if you need to from this icon right here. I'll click OK. You're prompted with the Add Break Lines dialog box. Notice how all the break lines are selected. And you definitely want to give these a description, such as break lines from survey data. And if you want to get even more detailed, perhaps what day you imported them and so on. There are some additional options here, which we will discuss when we talk about adding standard break lines to surfaces. But for now, we'll leave the default settings. Click OK. And we now have a surface just like that, created just from our break lines. Now we need to go in and add the points. Again, these survey points and figures are coming from the database. Should any of the information change in the survey database, we will be prompted to update and rebuild the surface. Let's navigate to the Prospector tab, and I already have a predefined point group that I can actually use to incorporate all the survey points that I want to add to my surface within the point group. Let's expand point groups. Notice how we have an out-of-date icon. So right-click on the point groups collection and select Update. Now all those point groups will incorporate the points based on their point group properties. So let's look at the points-EG point group properties by right-clicking on it and going to Properties. Within the Include tab, I now can see what points I will actually be adding into my surface. If you need to edit this, simply put a comma and add in the description that you want. Or you could include some points in the drawing by toggling the With Numbers Matching toggle on and select the Selection Set in Drawing button. We'll click OK. And now we need to add that point group as a definition in our surface. So let's go ahead and expand the definition category. Notice the definition categories we have available to us, and we want the point groups option. So, as I mentioned before, when in doubt, right-click on any interface component to get some different commands and options. I'll right-click on point groups and choose Add. Now I'll simply select the points-EG point group, click OK, and just like that, those points have been incorporated into the surface. Let's go ahead and look at our surface in 3D. Select the surface, and in the ribbon, there's the Object Viewer in the General Tools panel. Note, if you don't have a very good graphics card, this can take a while to rotate your view and display your surface. If you select an appropriate visual style, you can see your surface either in a wireframe or a shade of some type. I prefer shades of gray, as it shows you the surface in the best way. This concludes this video discussing adding survey data to a surface.